Testing, testing.
Good morning. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting / open house. And I want to tell people that we are holding this on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, in particular the Qualicum First Nation. We have the adoption of the agenda. Could I have I'm going to ask for a motion for this one to adopt the agenda. Councillor Skipsey, Councillor Vandervoog, and all in favor. Opposed, carried. So it's basically just one item, and that is public engagement opportunity. And the only thing I'd like to say is that we want to maintain a safe working environment. So I don't know if there was a sign-up sheet. Ms. Lugenberg, was there a sign-up sheet for people to sign on? I'm trying to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but if you want to speak more, then after we've gone through the first cycle, we could speak again.
So there's just one on there for now, so you might have to do a call.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. John Wood.
Surprise, surprise.
It works.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. I have a few items that I would like to bring up to this town hall forum. The first one is, and this may seem a little bit odd, but there's only, by my count, 7 members of the public in the audience. And there's a concern that because it takes so much of staff time and council time to have this meeting, that it may be there may be some thoughts of this town hall format being canceled, in which case we would have no input to council and to staff in an open forum like we used to have with the open houses or we have now with this town hall. So I'll just make that comment. I'd be really interested if it was possible to find out what the tree protection bylaw review schedule is, because the tree protection bylaw has been around and around and around. It was, to be quite blunt, it was railroaded through council 4 years ago, and there was a commitment made at the time that there would be a review within 1 year. Well, that is past and well past, and I know that there's been a lot of work done, but there's nothing that seems to be able to be reported back to the public about what's happening with the tree bylaw review. And related to that is a comment I'd like to make about wildfire protection. And I feel that while the town is making some moves towards cleaning up the understory in their properties where the town has control, the way the tree protection bylaw is written now doesn't permit certain trees under the Fire Smart program to be removed from private property. So the bylaw works against the residents doing what they might otherwise need to do for Fire Smart, which is a smart thing to be doing for fire protection and wildfire preparedness. And yet the town is doing that. And I would suggest if you looked at it with a jaded point of view, you could see that some of the things the town was doing were not in line with the tree protection bylaw as it's currently written. So that's why I'm concerned about making sure that the tree protection bylaw comes back in front of the public sooner rather than later. And there was a comment made, I think it was pretty sure it was at last council meeting by Councillor Skipsey, tying the tree, what's it called? The tree canopy studies as it is, that have been done over the last few years, and trying to tie them into, I think the wording was to use it in development deliberations. And I'm not sure that has a positive note to it. If you're using the tree canopy to say to a potential developer that you can't because you're going to be cutting down trees, then we all have to remember that the houses we all live in had trees on them before they were cut down so that we could have a lot to build a house to live on. And I see they've got 13 seconds left. Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess I can say John. And I thought I'd ask at this time, perhaps we could have some comments. And that ties in with your first question. Because when in the past there were 2 members of council present, there might be a difference of opinion between the 2 members of council attending the open house. And then everybody else would hear and maybe chime in, and there'd be maybe some speculation of what was happening. And they'd have to come upstairs to staff and get the right information, and then try to figure out, okay, who heard the information that was passed on earlier, that they all get the right information. So it seems to take more time for staff to catch up with some information that should have been presented. And so in this case, we can all hear the question, all of council can hear the question, because not all of council could attend the open house in the past. So I didn't often know, the rest of council didn't know what was being discussed with the 2 members of council. So this is more transparent. People can look at it later. It's online. So and this is a typical example, because those are very complex and good questions. And I think we all as council would like to hear the answer. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sales about both the tree bylaw and how it affects development, but also, and everybody knows this, that the province dropped a bit of a bombshell when they said Bill 44, and you got to do it this year. And we only have so many staff. So we had to prioritize what the province mandated. Say you shall have a new OCP, and it's got to be dealt with housing before the end of the year. Mr. Sales.
Thank you, Mayor Westbrook. So I would start off by saying that council has allocated funding this year to do a tree bylaw review. So that is scheduled to take place in either Q3 or Q4 of this year. So that's the plan right now. I would also like to share that council did, at the time that the tree bylaw was adopted, state that within 1 year there would be a review. And council did schedule a committee of the whole meeting to receive comments from the public shortly, basically within that 1 year period. So council at the time discussed that 1 year commitment and had the committee of the whole meeting as a way of getting public input. Based on that, council did not proceed with the full bylaw review at that time, based largely in part due to the Bill 44 provincial requirements that had been incorporated. So just a little bit of background. So it's scheduled for this year, and once again, there was a committee of the whole meeting within that 1 year period. Thank you.
And the planning, and of course, we have other staff involved, including the fire chief, about Fire Smart, and how, according to the tree bylaw, we couldn't take some trees down, which according to the Fire Smart, which has these circles around your home or structures, that couldn't be taken down, that should be taken down based on the Fire Smart program, but couldn't be because of the tree bylaw. How would you say you reconcile those differences?
Thank you, Mayor Westbrook. Well, it is an important question to ask, and when we do the bylaw review, it's one that I would like to ask the consultant, how you balance the values of tree preservation with the importance of Fire Smart. So there will likely need to be a balance between the two. On a smaller residential lot, if to fully comply with every aspect of the Fire Smart program would mean, in some cases, the removal of all the trees. So there's going to be a balancing of those different priorities. When the fire chief has discussed this in the past, he's emphasized the importance of maintaining Fire Smart ground cover, for example, and less about the trees. But anyway, there will be a discussion when we do the tree bylaw review. Thank you. Thank you.
Because Councillor Skipsey's name was mentioned about the urban tree canopy, I would like you to articulate what you meant. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I wanted to start with a comment that when the wildfire resiliency plan was done, the consultant, when he was presenting, said it wasn't so much the big trees that really concerned him, it was the cedar hedges. And I know people are still putting in cedar hedges when they're building new homes or doing their landscaping. So I think maybe that's something that needs to be addressed. I think that a lot of tree protection bylaws do contain an overall canopy limit, goal, target, whatever you want to call it. And so I don't know that it's really focused in on property to property or just the overall. And one of the comments that's come up because of Bill 44 and the density on private property is that maybe we should be looking at doing more streetscaping and street trees to sort of compensate for that. So I think there's a big discussion there to be had.
And street trees, as we all know, help with cooling as well. This place can get pretty hot, but it's nice right next door when it's hot in here. Not because of what's happening in here, but it can be quite hot in here. You go underneath those trees with the breeze, it's wonderful. Okay, who would like to speak next? Ms. Jacobson. Pat, come on up.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. It's kind of rare. All the questions I have here have mostly been answered, but I'll go through some of the comments I had. And the questions were around the Urban Forest Master Plan and based on concern for the future of our urban forest. And we're going to continue to lose trees to development, including the dictates of Bill 44, and tree loss acceleration due to climate change effects like drought and disease and wildfire risk mitigation. And a big portion of this loss can be more mature trees, which contribute significantly to the health and well-being of our community. I guess my key point I'd like to make is I don't see where we have an ongoing action plan to plant the trees for tomorrow. So those trees that are going to allow us to continue to enjoy the quality of life we have today. And so the first one was, when will the tree protection bylaw be reviewed? So I'm glad to see that's coming up in the third or fourth quarter, as well as the analysis of the tree canopy reports and recommendations for targets and updates on an ongoing basis. I think this is really essential because just establishing the benchmark, whatever it is, and then measuring it, what gets measured gets done. And third, the underpinning of everything is the Urban Forest Master Plan. And that was started with Jai and Associates, I guess, quite a few years ago. Maybe that needs a thorough review in terms of how we proceed, but not with more studies, just with some good public discussion. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Who else would like to speak today? So, John, you said it takes too much time. Well, maybe it won't be that much time. That would take staff time.
Good morning again, Mayor and Council. A subject that was much in the news a year and a half to 2 years ago was Save the Commons. And all of a sudden, something happened, and there's a radio silence on it, and we really don't know what is going on with the school building or the whole of the property as an entity. So it would be nice to know when there might be some information, or if there's some information available on that.
I'll ask Mr. Sales to speak, and if you have a follow-up question on that, we can answer that too.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Sales.
Thank you, through the chair, to Mr. Wood. The town is in discussions with the school board, and we anticipate an announcement of some sort prior to the expiration of the current leases with the tenants in that building, which is the end of June. So there will be an announcement forthcoming.
Yes, thank you. Okay. There was an AVICC motion regarding Memorial Avenue railway crossing that was talked about being made. It was, I don't remember seeing any or hearing any confirmation that that was actually made, and whether or not we have any response of our initiative to try to do something to get rid of this problem at Railway and Memorial.
Yeah, there's a few places where we have stop signs where people know there's no train. which is awkward, but it did pass, I think unanimously at the AVICC. So then their secretariat will take it to the province and say, this is an issue that was raised and was supported by, because all up and down the island, they have similar issues.
Right.
So we haven't heard back from them, and I'm not surprised, because that happened about a month ago. So
Okay.
it'll probably be a while. And it's not an easy solution, but what we thought we could do at one time, I think Councillor Lockmeyer was here at the time, and he said, well, just turn the sign around, and if they do have because there's no train, it's just trucks that do maintenance, well, they can stop and make sure it's safe for them to cross the road, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because it happens once, I hate to say the word blue moon, but it does happen very rarely. And traffic knows, and I've seen this because I live right by one, or close to it, and I see people who are not intent on breaking any laws. But they go, this is so stupid. I have to wait for the stop sign. I know there's no train. So most of them slow down, but many of them just bomb right through. Well, then there's a stop sign on the four-way intersection up in First. Well, I ran through that one. I might as well go to this one. It seems like it changes people's thinking when you can go through a stop sign, which you know you're not supposed to do. But now you're doing it. And I think it changes people's attitude. So that's the reason why I thought they should be changed. And council agreed that it should be changed.
Okay, so it's hurry up and wait for an answer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the last item, believe it or not, that I have on my list today is I live in Eagle Crest. And when I say we, I mean the Eagle Crest people. We keep hearing that the town is considering doing something with the Eagle Crest Golf Course. And I just wanted to make a comment that this was, I don't know where I picked it up, but I think it's a very cogent thing to say. The town and council need to stand firm on the current recreational zoning. In other words, whatever ends up being done, we can't lose any recreational property on the golf course for any reason ever.
Could that flashing light be turned off, the red light? No, it's okay. Because I think it carried on from your previous.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay. Thank you, John.
Okay. And that's it for my list today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I see Mr. Pritchard getting ready to come up.
Let Mr. Wooding here, but while I'm at it, if I may.
Sure.
Tim Pritchard. Two items, if I might. I think it was at the last town hall, I think I asked about the status of the public square, and some time has passed. I wonder if there's anything more about what might happen in 2025 with the public square
You mean the
proposal.
old former school bus garage site?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Seals.
Thank you, Mayor Westbrook. Through the chair to Mr. Pritchard. Council had indicated that there were two elements that should be resolved before the town proceeded with the construction on its portion. One was some clarification about the Qualicum Commons, and then the second was the initiation of that redevelopment for Naked Naturals. So both of those have still not yet been resolved. So as of right now, there is no construction activity planned for 2025.
And if I could add, Mr. Seals, the one thing that the current owners of a portion of the square wanted to know where to put the ramp for their underground parking, and keeping in mind what we may need for our future needs for parking. And that was decided on, I think, almost a year ago now. So there's nothing else further that the owner developer needs for him to proceed.
Okay. Another item, if I might, the last council meeting, again, there's a motion was advanced to review and change the DCC bylaw. I've talked to a number of people who expressed concerns about this. In 2012, DCCs were seen as a barrier to development in the village neighborhood. And as a result, selective waivers were introduced. This is now we have, at the time, there was an economic slowdown following the financial crisis. Now we have uncertainty at the same time as there is a need for housing, and the province's Bill 44 is encouraging and promoting more housing development. In fact, other communities are looking for ways to incentivize some of this new multi-unit development. On this basis, this strategic plan initiative seems out of step with the primary objective of the OCP and the real housing needs when economic uncertainty driven by, partly by tariffs is before us. On this basis, it would appear that Qualicum Beach appears to be going a bit in the wrong direction on this. If passed, these changes as suggested will raise development costs and considerably, and new multi-housing unit housing at the same time when cost pressures are of tariffs and other things are, and construction costs are raising the cost of providing housing. We have upcoming the what was described as the WHAM proposal, and I just talked before the meeting to Mr. Sales, and when the RFP for that study will be presented. I'm near my time limit, but if I could have another minute, I would appreciate it. Or I'll come back, whichever you'd prefer. At the time, the WHAM study is, if you look at the objectives stated or the requirements stated in the RFP, they require the consultant to be looking at some of the components that could result in rising construction costs. It's been suggested that a 50-unit rental proposal that might come forward, that the change, if the DCC waivers were not available, could raise the cost of that construction by up to $400,000. And that if that were translated, it could increase rents by more than $100. There's a lot that needs to be carefully looked at here, rather than just making a change to reverse something that seems to have worked reasonably well in the past decade and a half. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughtful comments. And just want to clarify that DCCs are not a tax grab. Either the current taxpayers pay for the increase on the pressure of our infrastructure or services will have to be paid for by our taxes, or when new development comes in, to have a fair and equitable share paid for by new construction. I don't think anybody who rents in the buildings that was recently constructed would get a discount because we didn't charge them DCCs. They go for market value. Whatever the market will bear, that's what they rent for, that's what they sell for. The same when they're building a home that's maybe for sale for $700,000, $800,000. They're not going to say, well, we'll give you a discount because the town didn't charge DCCs. However, on the low-cost housing or attainable housing, whatever you want to call it, they are exempt. Kiwanis doesn't pay any DCCs. So that comes back to the taxpayers. And we think that's fair and equitable because we need low-cost housing for people who work in services that don't pay a wage enough to buy or own a house or rent a place that's for sale or rent available. So we think that was a reasonable strategy, but to do it for homes that are on the market for, well, average price now in Qualicum Beach is about $900,000 or more, to say, well, we're going to make it easier for developers to build those houses. I've never seen anywhere where they say, we're going to give you a discount because the town didn't charge DCC. So it has to be fair and equitable, and it's not a number out of the sky. We're going through, and it's public, at a DCC for our landfill site, the landfill site which is down by Cedar. The cost of closing and perhaps opening a new one is, I think, considered to be $120 million. We're looking at DCCs for new construction to help offset some of the cost to the taxpayers, because they're causing the pressure on this landfill site by having more growth. We can't charge DCCs for the hospital, but because of growth, the hospital is getting very crowded, and we're looking at a bill of over $1 billion, 40% of which will be paid for by local residents. And a lot of it is because of growth and more people coming into the hospital, which is not designed to accommodate that kind of influx of people. So it's not an easy decision, but it's not based on how much money do we need to balance our books. It's how much does it cost to make the services work to accommodate new growth. And that's a science, not let's charge some more and it's a tax grab. It's based on science. What does it cost to accommodate this new growth, except for low-cost housing? Mr. Sales, anything else that we can add to Mr. Terry Pritchard's comments?
Thank you, Mayor Westbrook. No comments at this time. It will be coming back to council for direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Then at this time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Van der Valk, Councillor Young, we are adjourned. Thank you.